AITA for not wanting to make dinner every night? Originally posted by Blackpug Studios in Am I the Asshole on March 8, 23, updated on April 27, 23. For some context, has posted in the TMJ sub that she had to have a double joint replacement in her jaw. She ended up in terrible pain with an infection, had to have one joint prosthetic removed, and had to have her jaw wired shut because the infection had to clear up before replacing the joint. Again, an NBSP. Trigger warning. Medical struggles. Less than. An NBSP. Original. March 8, 23. An NBSP. AITA for not wanting to make dinner every night? 40F. Had jaw surgery in November, and have had my jaw wired shut ever since. I'm mostly surviving on Ensure, blenderized soups, smoothies, and baby food. It's been tough. During this time, I have continued to make my child's breakfast every morning, make his lunch for school, do the grocery shopping, and make dinner most nights. Honestly, it's torture. My husband, 40, works full-time, and doesn't really feel like cooking when he gets home. I get it, but at the same time, making dinner every night, and having to watch and smell it cook when I know I can't eat it is awful. And I know there are lots of ways to blend proper meals. But by the time I add enough broth, juice, etc., to make it drinkable, it's disgusting. The other night, I asked if he could make dinner at least a few nights a week, and he got pretty offended. He said that since I'm not working, I'm on medical leave, it's nice to come home to dinner being ready and not having to rush to start it. Last night, I thought I could compromise and get all of the ingredients prepared and ready so he could just do the actual cooking, and he was pretty ticked off all night. Am I being unreasonable? AITA for not wanting to cook every night? An NBSP. In the comments. So you are cooking for everyone else and not you? Time for some malicious compliance. Get a load of ready-made meals and just stick them on for dinner. If he wants food made from scratch, he can do it. I cook for everyone, and then sit down with a glass of Ensure and blenderized soup. Love the ready-made meals. Seems like an easy compromise. If you're eating soup, then everyone else can eat soup too. They might have regular soup while you put yours through the blender. Or they might have soup and a sandwich, salad. Grilled cheese and tomato is a classic for a reason. But entire civilizations have been built on soup. Don't make things harder for yourself than they need to be. Make soup. An NBSP. Judgment. Not the asshole. An NBSP. Update. April 27, 23. An NBSP. I posted maybe 2 months ago about difficulties with not wanting to make dinner every night while my jaw was wired shut for an extended period after jaw surgery. Original post linked above. I think the most heartwarming and unexpected all of the soup and recipe suggestions that were shared, which were super helpful. Heart. I decided to go for a mix of petty revenge and adult behavior and made us all a dinner of soup and homemade bread. The night I made the post, my husband and son loved it and we were all happy to be sitting down to a meal together as a family. But then I made soup and biscuits with salad the next night. Once we were cleaning up, I again brought up my frustration and talked about how difficult it has been for me, and asked again if we could compromise going forward. I used many of your suggestions about batch cooking, meal prep, etc., and asked if there were days that he feels more stressed coming home. There was a lovely user who asked if this behavior seemed out of character for him. And it is. And turns out she was pretty spot on. There has been some things happening at work that have been pretty stressful, and he hasn't wanted to talk about it. So coming home and making dinner has just been one more thing to deal with. We were able to come up with a system that worked great, where he handles cooking on the weekends, and also one day through the week. But we work together one day to make freezer meals, so I just throw them in the oven so they're ready when he gets home on days where I don't feel like I can handle the smells. Thankfully, I had my second surgery earlier than planned, and while I'm still dealing with side effects, I'll be eating normal food with my family soon. An NBSP. A quick update on how Op is doing. She left this comment on a post. I'm on my third prosthetic and dealing with lingering post-op infections. Wishing I could go back and tell myself to live with the pain. Surgery is not worth it. And replied with this when I checked on her progress and got her blessing to post. My jaw is still kind of a mess. Hoping that one day that will no longer be the case. The problem that I have is fairly complex, and while I was hoping for an easy fix, it turns out that's not what's going to happen. An NBSP. While her journey with her jaw pain may not be over, I am flaring this concluded as Oop resolved the original issue of making dinners and communicating with her husband. Reminder: do not comment on the original posts or contact the original poster. I am not the original poster. This is a repost. OAF. Jaw surgery seems extremely painful. I'm happy that they figured out how to cover the meals together. I've never understood, even in marriage, the concept of one person being expected to exclusively serve food to the other. What kind of person can't feed themselves but is still considered a functional adult? Went through something similar to this when I had 2 surgeries at once to open the palatine bone and to remove 4 wisdom teeth. I can't believe the husband think the medical leave is free time. There's a reason a surgeon needs you to stay home. Jaw and teeth pain is absolutely terrible. I would have made only soup until they realized what my medical leave meant. My cousin had to have jaw surgery in high school. Wired shut, a whole summer kind of surgery. She could barely get a straw in and was miserable the entire time. I think we ended up mailing her like some type of small candy you could suck on because she was just so tired of the same thing all day every day. Cooking every day is exhausting under normal circumstances. But to be going through pain and infections and surgery and not even being able to eat the tasty creations you've made? I cannot imagine. Glad they worked it out. He said that since I'm not working, I'm on medical leave, it's nice to come home to dinner being ready and not having to rush to start it. Medical leave is not a vacation. WTF? If you're on medical leave, it's usually because you're not capable of working for one reason or another. If someone's on medical leave, they probably have their hands full with managing their own health situation and should focus on getting better. I get that the root of the problem was work stress and ineffective communication. But was anyone else annoyed that he treated OOP's medical leave as time off? It's time designated by a surgeon to heal from surgery while preparing for another one to happen. Feel so bad for Oop. Tooth pain is the worst, I can't even imagine. Medical leave for surgery is not the same as sitting at home all day doing nothing. Glad they were able to communicate and come up with a good compromise before every night became soup night. I wish people would understand that medical leave is not a vacation FFS. God, I hope she can eat solid food by now. One of my sister's friends broke her jaw and had to have it wired shut while it healed for a few months. She lost weight at the time and she went through this during Thanksgiving. I wish Oop didn't have to go through this, though I'm very glad she and her husband came to a compromise. Ladies, if you're dating a man who'd be offended by you asking him to contribute to household chores, even with you being post-op, don't walk. Run in the opposite direction. I don't care how stressful his job was. When your partner is drowning and asking for your help, the least you can do is have an honest conversation and try to find a compromise. Not petulantly insist that, but not helping you is easier for me. Yikes on the empathy front. I have issues with dermatitis on my face sometimes, particularly around my mouth and eyes. It can get so bad it blisters and cracks and bleeds. I once got a nasty staph infection in the open cracks, leading to painful sores with thick, oozing crusts around and inside my mouth. I could only drink liquids through a straw for I think a few weeks. It was awful. I was so hungry. But the sores in my mouth also made everything taste bad. I felt so nauseous from forcing down unappetizing liquid food. Having to cook proper meals for my family every night would have been torture. But thankfully I just had my usual once-a-week rotation. I was 16 at the time, and my family was very supportive. They didn't make me sit with them to eat if I didn't want to. Went out of their way to try to make my meal options more appetizing and make dinner choices I could also eat. Soups, blendable stews, etc. I've had similar issues later where I had a huge ring of very red and inflamed dermatitis around my mouth and eyes and looked like a clown for months. I think I was on about a dozen pills a day for a while to treat it. It's awful. As an aside, when masks were compulsory, I found they set off my dermatitis no matter the type of material or design. I think it's mainly the moisture and sweat buildup that's the problem. My sweat sets it off in summer anyway. I was petrified for most of the pandemic that I was going to end up back there again. So much steroid treatment and steroid cream was needed to keep it at bay over the last few years, which have their own side effects. But I was always afraid if I asked to get an exemption for medical reasons that I'd be seen as an anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, just plain selfish. I genuinely fear for straight women. It's as the default mode before relationships is whenever the man feels the tiniest bit of discomfort or frustration or stress, he results being a misogynist who treats his wife, girlfriend, assist domestic slave. Is she literally just gone off of surgery, is taking care of her kid, the household chores and doing the cooking, get all his experiencing. It's a little frustration from work to the point that he can't even bother making a meal for himself. The bar is very low for men. I feel this so hard. The meds I take for my autoimmune disease have made making dinner a nightmare when I'm not feeling well. I am always so sick to my stomach and non-stop hot flashes, hot face. It's torture to cook physically and mentally knowing I can't even eat it. After 20 years taking care of everyone, now that I'm sick it's, you never make dinner anymore. Reminds me of when I had a job and was on a liquid diet. I didn't have to cook, but my family didn't stop eating my favorite food in front of me that I couldn't eat. Popcorn. I didn't ask them to stop eating anything else. Their words were, just because you can't eat it doesn't mean we have to stop. Best one was my sister and friend eating Pizza Hut in front of me and not letting me have the soft bit of garlic bread to suck on. I'm surprised this lady had the energy to cook. I was so weak I couldn't hold my own arm up when my mom washed me. I used to work in a hospital kitchen, and when we had patients on a pureed diet we processed whatever the regular patient meal was. Roast, lasagna. You get the idea. It was disgusting at times. It's wonderful when people communicate like adults. Pretty damn rare around these parts. I'm here with my popcorn. Honestly. But I do still like it when people work things through rationally. How long until OOP's next post about her husband getting frustrated because he wants blowjobs that his wife obviously can't give right now? Or perhaps for a long while, depending on her healing process. This situation does not feel resolved in the least bit.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Cast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.